Hello, this is Minder Chen. I'm a professor of Management Information Systems at Martin Business School Business and Economics at California State University, Channel Island. This is part of the Entrepreneurship Lecture Series, and today we're going to talk about business model and business model canvas. As illustrated here, this is just an example of a business model canvas, which is used to describe a business of an enterprise. So let's first kind of go over a few online resources available. First is Alex Ostwar's book on business model generation. Here you can find a preview version to study. Certainly you're welcome to go and get a copy of this book, which is the primary source for the business model canvas. You can download a PDF version of the business model canvas poster, and you can print it out in large piece of paper and use it for working on your business model creation. From the historical perspective, Harvard Business Review has an article called "What is a Business Model?" You're encouraged to read this paper online. And Johnson and Clayton Christensen has an article on reinventing your business model, talking about the innovation aspect of the business model, published in Harvard Business Review. You're encouraged to read this article as well. Another article from Harvard Business Review is called "4 Paths to Business Model Innovation." Again, focusing on the innovation aspect of the business model. So as you can tell, when people talk about creation of business model, innovation is part of the DNA in terms of creating of business model that help a startup company. There's a set of videos which can also help you to learn about this topic. One is definitely you want to watch this about 2 minutes video explaining the business model canvas. In order to learn how to use the business model canvas more clearly, there's a number of videos by the creator of the business model canvas, Alex Ostwar's, that you can study. And Steve Blank, who wrote a book, The Owner's Manual of a Startup Company, and also has a series of video through Udacity, which is also available on YouTube, that kind of describe how you can build a startup company. And in the video series, he also used the business model canvas to help us to kind of conceptualize the kind of the business that we want to create. And there's a 6-episode series of an animated series to guide us from ideas to business using business model canvas. It's actually pretty decent animation series. You're strongly encouraged to study it. And the last episode describes how you would make your pitch using the business model canvas. And I think you can learn from that. Another video which illustrates how business model canvas is used to describe Hilti, which is a company that provide a service to help you to manage the tool for your construction fleet. And that's pretty decent introduction. The portion that used the business model canvas to describe Hilti is around 25 minutes into the video. Before we talk about business model, we have to kind of think about what triggered us to create a business. And it's probably something that frustrates us in the first place. And then we thought, hey, maybe I have a solution for that. And therefore, from that idea, it may grow into a business. So I always argue that our frustration or customers' frustration, frictions, is help us to discover some unmet need, and that unmet need will be an opportunity for us to start a company to fulfill those unmet need. So the customer frictions sometimes referred to as pain points that leads to unmet customer need is the starting point of innovation, is a starting point for a startup ideas. The frustration may come from some slow product, noisy kind of oven, and bad service that we may encounter, etc. And if we have instead of getting angry about those bad product or services, we can think positively how we can fix the problem and come up with a business ideas and pursue that. What is a business model? Business model has been used for a long time, and Peter Drucker considered business model are assumptions about what a company get paid for. And the assumptions could be about the market, about customers, competitor, about their value and behaviors, and about the underlying technology and the dynamic nature of the industry, and also about the company itself in terms of its strengths and weaknesses. And this is actually documented in Peter Drucker's article called Theory of the Business. You can get access to this article. And Michael Lewis basically defined business model as how you plan to make money. And that's kind of the bottom line for any business model eventually, is how you're going to generate the revenue to sustain the operation of your business. And in the process, you're making money. At least you're making enough money to survive. And Andrea Owens described business model are at heart story. It's a story that explains how enterprises work. And it basically answered Peter Drucker's age-old questions like who is the customer and what is the customer's value. And in order to answer these questions, you need to ask a set of oscillatory question, like what do we make money in this business, and how we deliver value to the customer at an appropriate cost. Therefore, there's a profit to be made. Craig Christensen's consider the key to sustained success is a business model innovation, and focus on the innovation part of it. And he has a simple 5 questions that he asks, which is documented in this article. First is, what do we serve? Which is like, who are your customer? And the second is, what do we provide? Which you try to answer the question like, what's your product or service? And the third is, how do we provide it? That's kind of a back-end mechanism, how you produce or deliver the product and service. The fourth question is, how do we differentiate and sustain advantage? Like, what makes you unique? Why do you think you can be successful in a very crowded field? You need to have some differentiating factors that give you competitive advantage. And the last, not the least, is how do we make money? That's the same question everybody asks. One way you can kind of describe your business model is actually try to think about something called elevator pitch. The elevator pitch basically is kind of a scenario you meet someone in an elevator who may be interesting in your business, but you only have about less than a minute to describe a business, and then you have to pretty much sum it up in a sentence. And in this case, you would say for target customer who has certain needs, your product is in such a market category that provide some key benefits. But unlike some of your competitors' products or services, and the product has some unique characteristic that differentiate it from others. So basically, you are answering the following question, which is who is the target customer? What is the customer's need? And what is your product and the product's name? And what is its market category this product belongs to? And what is its key benefit, or what are the key benefits? Who or what is the competition? Who are your competitor? What are the competing product or services? And last, what is the product's unique differentiator? To make a successful elevator pitch, you want to make sure that you present it with clarity and simplicity, and you want to show your compassion about your business idea, and you do want to make a convincing case in terms of why it is a great idea. And in order to do so, you need to do your homework, like study the competitors, kind of anticipate what kind of challenging question that the audience may ask. So there are 6 steps that may guide us to a successful pitch. First is the hook. Remember, venture capitalists and angel investors, they're pitched to every day. So you do need to, at the very beginning, capture their imaginations and grab their attentions with some unique and compelling ideas. Second is the problem. Make sure that your audience are aware that the problem you try to address, and ideally that's the problem they face themselves. Let them feel the pains, and yet eagerly seeking a remedy, which is the unique solution that you're proposing. Make sure your solution is a unique one. It's not just a me too ideas. And you need to capture your audience desire with some new, differentiated, kind of unique idea and value that you're proposing. The team, you may want to kind of describe your founding teams and why they're qualified and why they have the capability that's needed to build the product or service and build up the firms. Tractions. And you try to describe how engaging is your product within its market. Like particularly if you have done some experiment, some tried out with some prototype or minimal viable product, and how welcoming that the marketplace is to your products and services. That's the traction. And you want to close by asking the VCs or angel investor for a business card, or ask to setting up a meeting if they like to pitch in detail to them. So to some extent, we can describe the business model in that elevator pitch sentence. And however, there's a more formal way which can help us to think about different building block for a business in its business model. And here we're going to introduce a business model canvas by Alex Osterwald. As I mentioned, you should watch this 2 minutes video presentation of the business model canvas first. And the business model canvas can be used to describe, discuss, design, challenge, improve, innovate, invent, pivot, and help us to choose our business model. And here's a longer presentation by Alex Osterwald, kind of describe why we're moving away from business plan to business model in the startup community. And the business model describe the rationale how an organization or a business creates, delivers, and captures values. And it can be best described through 9 building blocks, and that show the logic how a company intends to make money. Those 9 building blocks cover 4 main areas, which are customers, offer, which is your product and services, the infrastructure, which tend to describe the back-end mechanism of producing the product and services, and eventually the financial aspect, which will demonstrate the viability of your business, the revenue and cost. The business model is like a blueprint for a strategy to be implemented through the organizational structure, process, and systems. The business model itself does not describe the organizational structure, process, or system. However, it's a blueprint for you to set a strategy in terms of how to implement the business model through the organizational structure, process, and system. So here's one way to depict the business model in 9 building blocks. You can describe your business model starting from anywhere. You may even want to try to do that if you have a business model. You can start with the customer, you can start with the value proposition, and you can sometimes even start with your key partner. If you're importing some important merchandise from abroad and try to sell it domestically, then describing the key supplier would be a good idea. So you can start from anywhere. Let me start from value proposition, which is what's your product and services. And second, you may want to describe who are the customer you try to reach, and the channel describe actually how you reach out to the customers. But you need to keep a good relationship with the customer in terms of acquiring the customer, retaining the customer, and grow the customer. And the customer who buy your product and pay for the service will bring the revenues to your business. But in order to produce the product or provide the service, you do need to perform some key activity, and those key activity may require certain key resources. The resource may be provided by certain key partner, and the partner may help you to perform some of the activities in order to produce the product or provide the service eventually to your customer. And in order to acquire the resource or perform the activity or work with the key partner, you do need to kind of pay for the resource and to have the activity performed by your employee or the key partner. That's where the cost will come in. So at the bottom of this business model canvas, it's the revenue and the cost, and which are the financial aspect of your business. So if you laid out formally the business model canvas, it looks like this. You can get it poster version of this from various websites. It basically, the 9 building block, as we explained earlier. On the right hand side, you describe who you want to sell your value proposition, product and service to. And on the left hand side is how you're going to create and deliver the value proposition, which is your product and services. And the revenue stream and the cost structures imply the cash flow of your business. So once again, at the middle is the value propositions. At the right-hand side, building block is customer segments. Describe who are your customers. And the channel describe how you're going to deliver your product and service to your customer relationship, describe how you're going to reach out, acquire the customer, and keep them coming back, and grow the kind of product and service that they will purchase. The key activity describe how you're going to produce the product and service, and the resource that's required to support the activity, and the partner will help you to perform some of the activity, and the cost involved in paying for the resource and the partner who help us with various components and raw material, or even performing certain activity that we outsource to them. So another way to look at the business model canvas is first is this 9 building block. And on the right-hand side is the customer side, that we focus on the value aspect. That's the front end. The left-hand side is the back end. That's kind of the infrastructures subgroup involving key activity, key resource, and key partner. And the cost certainly will be involved. We emphasize on the efficiency aspect of the business model. The offers in the middle, which is the central element of a business model canvas, is the offer, the value proposition, the product and service. The reason we call it value proposition, because sometimes the customer are looking at not just the product and service and what's the value that we propose to the customer. It's much bigger and broader in definitions. Therefore, we prefer to use the term value proposition instead of a product and service. At the bottom is the financial viability, which we describe the revenue stream, how we're going to make money, and then where we're going to spend the money in order to produce the product and service. Or sometimes we even spend the money in terms of acquiring customers, or actually set up the channel in order to deliver the product and services. Let's look at the following animated series which describe the 9 building block, which differs slightly with the one we just proposed. And the first is kind of key issue to solve. What problem you try to solve. That this answered the question of why. Okay, this is now part of the business model canvas 9 building block. It's kind of behind the scene. This is really driving everything. The key issue or problem, pain points that you try to solve. This kind of answer why. And who this may have this problem that require the solution that you try to deliver to solve the problem. That's the customer segment. And the offer. The offer is your solution that you propose that may address the problem that the customer in the customer segment may have. And then you need to figure out your distribution channel. and then how you're going to establish and maintain the customer relationship that you have with the customer in the customer segment. And the customer segment would help you they pay for the offers and that generate the revenue streams. And then you need to think about how you're going to deliver your offer based on your own competence and activity you want to perform and the resource that may be required. This key activity or resource are the two building blocks in our previous business model canvas. And you rely also on the partner network, value network, which are your key partners in that partner network, which may help you with the resource and perform some of the activity. And they may even produce part of the offer jointly with you in order to offer that to your customers. And this requires the cost in producing the offer and paying for the resource and paying the partner. So this kind of shows the interconnectivity of various building block in the business model canvas. In the business model generation book, Alex Osterwald used kind of hypothetically using Facebook's as an example and build the business model for Facebook. And the number here certainly is not in terms of how many users for Facebook book and how much money they're making is not certainly up to date. Another thing, when you look at this sample business model canvas, is to pay attention to the color coding of the post-it notes. The post-it notes here, we have three colors. And if you focus on the customer segment side, and the yellow part is really referring to the actual user of the Facebooks. And this kind of orange color portion is showing the advertisers who may be interested in placing ad on Facebook page. And they are the one who actually would generate the revenue stream, not a typical Facebook user which use the Facebook for free. And another customer segment may be the app developer or game developer, like Farmsville, and they build applications or games on Facebook. They do pay Facebook 30% of their revenue. So this is a good example of a business model that has different customer segment, and sometimes we refer to this as so-called multi-sided business model or multi-sided platforms, which we have kind of customer of Facebook who use the system for free. We have advertiser, we have game developer. Sometimes we have two-sided marketplace, two-sided platform. In this case, this is actually three-sided or multi-sided platforms. And you can study this in great detail. Zynga is the developer, for instance, which helped to develop games on Facebook. Okay, you should study this in a little bit detail so you have a little bit better understanding of what each of the building block means. I'm not going to go through this in great detail. Other than that example we just went through, here is my breakdown of the business model canvas in detail, which kind of give you a little bit more explanation, an idea what's in each of the building block. The value proposition basically describe the product and service. The product and service, you can describe it from the functional, social, or emotional aspect. And you also may want to emphasize the value proposition in terms of its quality, its cost, or the speed, whether you have the lowest cost, highest quality, or fast speed in terms of deliver the service and or offering the product. It's hard to actually have the highest quality, the lowest cost, and fastest speed. Sometimes you need to pick and choose which area you want to emphasize in terms of your value propositions, and don't underestimate the value of social and emotional aspect of your product and service. Customer segment. You can describe your customer segment using persona, which we will discuss in detail later, which kind of describes some stereotype of customers. And you can also follow the customer journey when they use your product and service. And customer buy your product and service because they have a job to be done. So you can describe that job to be done. What are the jobs to be done? Describe customers' pains or gain, which are also indicate their unmet need. You also want to know whether your target consumers, individual consumer or business. You may want to give an idea, give us some idea in terms of the market size, and which can be described as the total addressable market, service available market, or target market. That's how you would define the market size. We have a lecture on the market sizing down the road. The channel can be physical, a virtual online channel, or could be an integration of an online channel with the offline channel. Customer relationship can sum up in terms of how you get the customer, keep the customer, and grow the customer. And you also want to use, ideally, words of mouth, encourage words of mouth promotion of your product by your customer to some potential customer. That's the most powerful way to market your product and service. You can describe your revenue stream, and sometime in the early stage you may not making a lot of money. Then you may want to describe how many users you have, registered user, active users, and what's the pricing schemes. Are you using the freemium model, offer something for free but a premium service with a fee? And what's your retention rate of your customer based on some cohort that of the user that you have acquired? And what's the customer's lifetime values that of the customer you have acquired? And what's the profit margin? Key activity may be marketing and sales, which is really this two building block over here, and could be the research and development and the operational aspect of it, how you produce the product and service. The key resources may be the talents, the technology to be used. It could be some more intangible resource, such as the culture of tolerance in your organization, and could be the intellectual property that you may need to acquire. Key partner may be the product supplier or key material, raw material supplier. Could be an outsourcer of service that we outsource it to, and they may provide some resources that we need in order to produce the product and services. All of this can cost us. So the cost may be the customer acquisition cost for a new startup company. This may be a big portion of the cost. And the cost of building the product and service, the distribution cost, and the salary to pay for the employees, and the cost of paying for the partner. So those are the detailed element in each of the 9 building blocks. Just give you some idea what's in there. Steve Blank has an article talk about why Lean Startup changed everything. You're encouraged to get a copy of this article. In the article, he kind of described this 9 building block in kind of a question forms, and you should kind of use this article and the diagram here to help you to understand the business model canvas further. For instance, let's just pick on 2. Value proposition. What value do we deliver to the customer? Which one of our customers' problem are we helping to solve? So that address the problem or issues. What bundle of product and service are we offered to each segment? Which means thinking about bundling of product and service. And you may have actually different segments, so you may offer different bundling to different customer segment. Which customer needs are we satisfying? The needs and the problem. Okay. What is the minimum viable product? Which means that have you conceived a minimum viable product that can be ready to be sold to the customer segment? We'll describe the concept of minimum viable product later, but basically means what is the quickest way you can deliver something which will be accepted by the marketplace, they're willing to pay for it. Don't think about a perfect product, thinking about minimum viable product. Let's look at the customer segment side. For whom are we creating the value for? And who are our most important customer that you want to target? And what are the customers' archetypes? The archetypes, sometimes we use the term persona to describe the customer archetype. Okay, and you should study the rest of the building blocks questions posted by Steve Blank in this Harvard Business Review article. You should use your business model canvas to test the business assumptions that you may have about the business you're proposing. Steve Blank has a famous saying, say no business plan or business model, in this case, survive its first contact with customers. So you want to make your business model canvas actionable. What does that mean? Which means that you want to create the business model canvas and use it to encapsulate and identify a set of hypotheses, which are really assumptions and some underlying potential risk. And then you should get off the building with a prototype, with that minimum viable products. Go to the customer, recruit some customer, try out the product, the prototype, to test the underlying assumption or hypothesis in your business model canvas. And once you get real feedback from that test, you want to revise and pivot your business model based on that reality check. And then you go so basically you revise your business model with a new set of hypotheses and assumptions, and then you revise your prototype or minimum viable products, and then you go out to test it again. So you kind of go through this cycle of creating business model, testing it in the marketplace, revising it, and test it again. The whole process is keep searching and creating a series of business model canvas version until you find the right, what we call product and market fit, which means that your specification of the products and your design of the products, you already find a accepting market with welcoming customer which like your product and services. And then that's where you reach so-called product market fit. You find your product has a market and that is acceptable. The market accepting your product and the customer in that market is willing to pay for it. Sometimes we may wonder what's the difference between business model and business plan, because traditionally when we teach entrepreneurship course and when we encourage someone to start a business, we will ask them to write a business plan. But now we seem to be focusing on business model, like what we're doing here. The U.S. Small Business Administration referred to business model as a company's foundations and referred to a business plan as its structures. So the business as a foundation is the original idea for your business. It's a general description how it functions. So it's a more preliminary version to some extent of a business plan, if I may refer to it that way. The structure or the business plan elaborate on the details of your business idea. So you're going to build your business plan based on the business model or the business model canvas that we have described earlier. So to some extent, it's not either or. The business model and business plan can coexist. You probably try to come up with the business model using business model canvas first, and then you would develop a more detailed business plan down the road, which is the structure based on the foundation. In this diagram that I got from Pinterest, kind of describe the business model and the business plan, and emphasizing both are needed and they are alive, which they're a dynamic kind of document which need to be revised and revised again and again. Business model describe how a business create, deliver, and capture value. So this is the example business model canvas that we explained earlier. The business model is the destinations that you want to be there, which require a lot of creative thinking and ideation, which means come up with great idea, innovative idea to conceptualize your business model. And the business plan is the map, the roadmap, or the GPS, which would lead you to the destination to actually build the business based on your business model. The business plan is a detailed plan. And it describes what the goal of a business are and particularly how they will be achieved, including your financial plan, marketing plans, strategic plans, and your HR plans, etc. So you want to use your business model and business plan, bring it to your customer, particularly the business model with the prototype, minimum viable product, to test the underlying assumption. And then you come back and revise your business model. And since you revise your business model, you may need to revise your business plan. When you try to create your business model, you may want to think about several common business model patterns. And in this article called What is a Business Model, describe has a table list a set of business model patterns for you to think about. And in Alex Ashworth's book called Business Model Generation also describe kind of business model patterns. Let's just take a few of the patterns here. For instance, disintermediation, which basically is like Dell Computer's direct sales model. Okay, and freemium. We mentioned freemium. For instance, LinkedIn offers basic service for free, but they charge for premium service. So this is related to the revenue stream and your pricing model. And also, let's look at the razor and blade. For instance, Hewlett-Packard sell their printer relatively cheaply, but they're making money based on the ink cartridge they're selling to you. Okay. Reverse auctions. Priceline.com is a good example of reverse auction, which basically you name your price and then you ask the supplier, airlines, rental car company to bid on the offer that the customer willing to pay. That's kind of reverse auctions. And product to service. Instead of selling a product, you're offering a service, which basically are rental, like Zipcar, which is part of the so-called sharing economy. Uber or even Airbnb is an example of that. And that's kind of sharing economy, which you don't own, the customer don't own the asset. They can make it, they can access the service. And the platform, which is like Uber's or Airbnb, they don't own the asset. They kind of use kind of crowdsourcing approach to gather the assets, such as car and also the place to stay. And Netflix is using subscription model, so people can get access to a service by subscribing to it. For instance, Rent the Runway, you can rent fashion dress piece by piece. You can also pay a subscription fee and to get access to like you can have 3 dress at a time, anytime, and to keep that by paying a monthly subscription fees. So think about and study various business model pattern, and you can borrow those patterns and use it in your own business model creation. Just an example, for instance, we mentioned Rent the Runway, which is a case we will study in detail. The Rent the Runway is basically describe itself as a high fashions kind of business like Netflix in the movie rental business. So basically they use the Netflix model, but in the high fashion dress kind of operation. So they're reusing the business model wisely in a different market segment. Let me direct you to this video, which document a sales pitch, not a sales pitch actually, a business model pitch that about a baby care monitoring device. And when you watch this business model pitch, this is part of the business model competition, international business model competition. This pitch won the first prize, I believe in 2013, called OLED Baby Care. There's 2 versions you can find, they're identical. I want you to pay attention to how they pivot based on user and market feedback. Okay, when you're working on your group project and your business model creation, make sure you conduct actionable tests, and then based on the feedback, revise your business model. So when you present your business model, you may want to go over different iteration and version of your business model based on the actual user and market feedback. Okay, there's a few business model pitch of the same product, a shorter version, and this is actually one of their commercial. Another business model competition first winner next year, 2014, it can be also found here. Okay, that's pretty much it. Before we end this presentation, let's try to just hand-drawn the business model canvas. And I want you to be able to do it yourself without looking at any material. I'm going to do it here to test my memory, what I pitch in terms of the business model canvas, whether I remember it myself. You would draw a rectangle. You divide it up, maybe 2:1 ratio, upper pan and lower pan. You divide the lower pan kind of in half. The upper pan, you will carve out a central piece, kind of which take maybe 1/5 of the space, and divide the left and the right into half each. If we label this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 building block on the top, you would divide the second and the fourth into half. Now you got the business model canvas. And the next step is to fill in the blank. You can start from anywhere, as I mentioned. I'm going to start with the central piece. I will consider this as a central piece, which is the value proposition, your product and service. And who are you going to sell it to? That's the customer segment. In order to reach to the customer segment, you need to establish your channel. And in order to keep and acquire, get, keeps, and grow your customer, you need to pay attention to the customer relationships. And the customer will hopefully willing to pay for the value proposition, your product and service. That's where you're going to bring in the revenue streams. In order to produce the product and service, you need to perform some key activities in order to produce the product or service. In order to perform those activities, you need some key resources that will support you in performing such activity. Some of the resource may be provided by the key partner, and the partner may also engage in jointly in providing the service to be offered to the customer. So that's the key partner. And you do need to pay to acquire the resource and pay the partner or even your own employee in performing the activity. That's where the cost will come in. And your profit will basically be your revenue minus the cost will be your profit. And hopefully you will have a positive cash flow very soon. So once again, we have 9 building blocks in the business model canvas, which include value propositions, customer segment, channel, customer revenue, key activities, key resources, key partners, revenue streams, and the cost. So try to use it in your startup, try to use it in your group project. And that's all. And I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.